Today we're going to be revitalizing this age-old goblin from Games Workshop's Heroquest. As you can see with this goblin, it was already painted a long time ago by, I believe, 9 or 10-year-old myself using model paints, since I was that new to the hobby that I didn't even realize that I should be using acrylics. So I was shifting from my knowledge of painting a small amount of models to now painting miniatures. I'm gonna go ahead and clean up this miniature, and then we're gonna see if we can give this awesome goblin a total makeover and make it really stand out. So by now I've applied 2 different tones of green, and what I'm going to be trying to do now is find out different shapes. Since this is a low detail mini, there isn't a lot of details like in the muscles, there aren't like sinews showing up, things like that. So I'm going to be looking for striations and making up my own. Let's see how that goes. So what you might be able to see on the goblin is that I actually started dry brushing as well at that age, before I even found Games Workshop paints and other high quality acrylics. But I think at that point I was inspired from seeing pictures of other professionally painted miniatures, and so I just started dry brushing lightly, and not in a very good way, but I had that concept in mind, which later I improved on and actually saw in tutorial articles. I think I even had a booklet on how to paint miniatures. Now I'm going to try out this new green and a new type of paint, and I'm gonna see how that feels. I really like this kind of yellowish green. I always thought that's an absolutely awesome green skin color, especially for goblins. Thanks for that nostalgia, GW. So I'm gonna go ahead and do some highlights now. I really love that lime, that yellow green, so I'm actually gonna apply literal yellow right now, actually moon yellow. How fitting with this being a goblin of GW. I definitely want to make sure I get a lot of it on that butt nose of his. I want to make that prominent. I don't think I've seen anybody else's Heroquest Goblin have that, so I'm definitely going to make sure that it's there, and I think it looks pretty good. I think it makes sense and it gives him some character. So at this point, I don't know what I'm gonna do with the lips. I was thinking to do something reddish pink, you know, something fleshy colored. I did just finish up with his shoes or boots. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with the shirt, the red, and the belt and all that. And then maybe then I'll figure out what I want to do with the lips, if anything, before moving on to that axe. I just realized I didn't finish his belt yet. So I just got through the tunic, but next is the axe, and finally, for the cherry on top, for the ending, we're gonna be doing the non-metallic metal axe. So it's almost downhill from here. I mean, I just have to finish the wooden part of that axe, the belt, so a lot of browns, and then head over to that non-metallic area of the axe, which is gonna take a little while to make sure that's smooth and all that. But yeah, so far so good. I believe we are finally done. For what it's worth, here are the paints that I used. And a quick look at my wet palette. Also, I was able to find another of the goblins. Actually, I have 2 or 3 more maybe, so I'm gonna go ahead and lay this one next to it just for fun comparison, and then the presentation of the finished painting. And after that, my final thoughts on working on this classic goblin of Heroquest. So first of all, I have to say that I don't think there's a bad sculpt or miniature in all of the Heroquest 4-box collection. Granted, the miniatures aren't amazing in their poses, but every miniature, Games Workshop miniature, has nice, solid details, and all the forms have character, from the zombie, the thimmers, the orcs, the grand gargoyle. Moving from that to the goblin, I'm really, first of all, surprised how the details came back out with the paint job. I thought they would have been lost. That is also because of the sculpt. And a quick side note with that, as with the new Heroquest, I can't say the same of every miniature. They're being great, but the goblins there are pretty awesome, and I think they got that same inspiration of that big bulbous head and lips and big ears and all that. But I've got to say that this portrait of the goblin is just wonderful to work on. Painting this miniature, and I feel like a lot of the other Heroquest miniatures, it feels like you're painting a statue. It's not this crazy pose, but all the features are really a pleasure to paint, and because they are so prominent, again, that character exists in those models. And another one that just hit me that I gotta shout out, other than the sorcerer, are the mummies. Those are some of the coolest, just beefy, like most threatening mummies of any board game. Anyway, enough about other models. Back to the goblin. I think this goblin is totally solid still in the arena of what miniatures have become. And so I hope I gave this model, this classic model, the respect, the honorable paint job it deserves. What better miniature than these goblins to practice your green skin toning as well as non-metallic metal painting? There's another classic old board game called Dark World, of which I recently painted an orc for. And those orcs are very not Games Workshop, as they were trying to obviously not impede on that ground, but they certainly had some inspiration from there, as you can see with the concept art of that orc. The final miniature looks a bit different, so you may enjoy that. And there's another video here that YouTube recommends for you from the channel. I hope you'll like it. I'll see you there for the other video.